I know we've given Fresno a hard time here on the channel, but you know what? Fresno PD, they get down. Hi everyone, welcome to today's research-informed defensive lesson here at Active Self-Protection. Today, a badge cam lesson. I am your host as always, John Correa.
I'm your co-host today. So I'm my co-host today. I'm your co-host Mike Williver. Today's video comes to us from the Tourism Board of Fresno, California.
Today's video is brought to us by Mantis. The Mantis family of products is integral to ASP staff building handgun and carbine skills and are your most economical and fastest path to improvement in your skills too. Whether you choose the X10, the Laser Academy, the Blackbeard, or use them all in concert, they will help your practice be more effective, efficient, and fun. Go check them out, pick up a unit, and thank them for sponsoring today's video. What you see here is a domestic. You see this guy get out of his Mercedes. His wife is in the other car with their 3-year-old, and he is gonna pistol whip her and hit her with a gun. She takes umbrage with that, is gonna pull off out of there, and then he is gonna jump in his car and chase her. She calls 911 and tells him what's going on. And of course, that kind of milkshake is going to bring all the boys to the yard. It does indeed bring the boys to the yard, and everybody starts looking for these guys, and they are going to get found by a sergeant. We have badge cam audio from here. Let's listen in and see what happens.
All right, we are westbound Jensen, now crossing over the 41. They are both failing to yield. Any units close, pit is authorized. Have her pull over out of the way if possible.
Copy.
He's still chasing and ramming.
Copy. Charles 14, I'm with you, 102.
You see your heads! I'm with you. You come out with your hands up, or we will shoot you again. Come out on the ground. I'm with you. You come out with your hands up, or we will shoot you again. Come out on the ground.
7 Charles 14, line of fire is going to be to the east. I need units to arrive from Jensen and 41. Let me take over for you, Sarge.
You got it.
Get out of the car! Do not reach for anything or I will shoot you! Get out of the car! Turn off my siren!
Siren!
Unlock the door! Get out! If you reach, you won't get shot! Come out! Face away from me!
Turn away.
Get out and face away! Keep your hands up! Get out of the car! Get out! Face away! Walk backwards! Hands up! Keep coming! Keep coming! Keep coming! Keep coming! Keep coming! Get on your knees! On your knees, face away! Go hands, I got him. Someone get on car.
Just to show you a little bit here, watch what went down is that as the sergeant pulls up, our dude put a gun out the window, the gun that he pistol whipped his wife with, and shot through that glass, and that bullet went out the rear window where the 3-year-old was. And so the sergeant saw that. That's what caused all of his actions. And again, you can see right there where the bullet exited the glass. The lady was treated for some facial wounds from the pistol whipping. The 3-year-old was not physically harmed. Our dude here is facing an absolute litany of charges, as he should. Could you just see him doing the bullet time Neo thing? But I'm pretty sure probably his undershorts didn't make it through that.
That fool needs to check his Tonys for real.
You know, Mike, it's one of those things we say all the time that, you know, sometimes a marriage just doesn't work. Sometimes a relationship doesn't work. But man, adults use words. We got to get better than this when we're threatening each other with guns, hitting each other with guns. It's a real problem in our society right now.
There are a few things worse than a man beating a woman in my book. It's the lowest of the low. This guy reminds me a little bit of a guy we had a while back who I think I referred to him as an unrepentant scumbag. And I'm going to say that here and now. I don't like this guy. I've seen his type before. He thinks he can do anything he wants. He thinks he can act with impunity, which really is borne out by his actions in the parking lot. And then his actions, you know, car to car right in front of a police car with no regard for the fact there's a little girl in the back seat. Just disgusting behavior, John.
Yeah, really disgusting behavior. On the other hand, our sergeant here, man, this guy is Special Pants Brigade material all day, Mike. The first thing that I noticed here is how utterly calm his demeanor is. And calm is a superpower in an incident like this, and he did so great at it.
Yeah, I'll say somebody recently added, it might have been you, I'm not sure, when I said, yeah, calm's a superpower, and the person I was talking to said, yeah, and it's contagious. Just like panic is contagious, calm is contagious. So this guy's a sergeant. He's a leader of men and women. He is a supervisor. So it is incumbent upon him to keep everybody's heads, you know, on straight. So by him not freaking out and going, I'm behind the car, I have this gun, blah, blah, screaming, he's calm and collected, and everyone now responding is getting, first of all, clear and concise direction as to where to go and what to do. Things like pit is authorized, direction of travel. Everyone now is coming in a lot calmer than they otherwise might if he were losing his actual mind over the radio.
Now, look at what the sergeant saw. What he saw here was the husband stick a gun out the window and rip a shot through his wife's car, clearly endangering his wife, endangering the baby in the car. And the sergeant saw that. So he's got to act right now. We have an imminent threat of death or great bodily harm to a member of the community. The sergeant has to act. I love that he didn't shoot out the window, Mike, but I also think that maybe it might have been a good idea, to just hit the accelerator, swerve over to the right and push that guy down the road a little bit. Although, in this idea that we use all the time, that's the way that we make decisions called recognition prime decision making. Once we've got an idea that we think will work, we're not going to consider other options. I don't blame him for not considering that option. I'm just saying, while we're sitting here wargaming it, it's worth considering.
Yeah, again, a mental rep. So, if you find yourself in this position, officers and deputies, and this is your field of view, and this is a situation presented to you, just bear in mind, one of the options could be to turn and just push that guy all the way into a telephone pole and have a long conversation with him at that point. That's not what he did. I love the fact that once he decided on a course of action, he stuck with it. He got out and he got to work immediately. When I first watched this through, John's got the keen eye of the two of us. He spotted this gun out the window. I hadn't seen it the first time through. And I was a little curious as to why the sergeant was firing as quickly and as much as he was. I did not see this. This is one of those things when you're watching the police in action, sometimes you miss little things. You don't understand why they're doing what they're doing. Now, through the light of day, 20/20 hindsight, in John's keen eye, okay, he just shot through that car. This guy needs to be stopped. The minute he starts to leave the scene, still armed with a gun, I'm authorized to do whatever I got to do to stop him from going away and hurting other people.
Yeah, he's clearly, Tennessee versus Garner, this guy is an immediate threat of death or great bodily injury to anybody in the community right now. So there's that. And also, it's the PD who slowed it down and showed it, not me, Mike. So they're the ones who first showed that. Thank you for your kindness towards me, but no, it was definitely them. And he did see that. So his actions here are very reasonable, given what that is. But I love the fact, like I said earlier, that he didn't decide to fire through the glass. Instead, he cleared all the way to the other side of the victim before he got engaged and got fighting. Now, a couple things that I just want to see here. One, I love the fact that he got himself to a good firing position, still using his B-pillar. That is really important. And great two-handed firing grip, good stuff. It would not surprise me at all, Mike, if our sergeant here is a competitive shooter, given his level of gunfighting and gun handling skills.
Yeah, there's a few other points where John has pointed stuff out to me in our pre-brief that I thought, yeah, for sure. This guy's John Wick with chevron stripes on his shoulder. He's done this before, at least in training. Maybe he's a combat vet. I don't know. Hey, listen, if you know this sergeant or anyone involved in this incident, reach out to me, Mike@activeselfprotection.com. I would love to interview anyone involved on this on the podcast because I think there's some lessons to be learned here. This guy is for sure Special Pants Brigade, and he is almost certainly excuse me, I almost said active shooter. The guy's an active shooter. He's almost certainly a competitive shooter, and it just shows in everything that he does. This guy is super squared away. First of all, look at the grip by itself should tell you he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, and we're going to see a little bit later too. You know, when you look at his pistol, again, you can't buy your way to skill, right? But we see a lot of people, once they get higher skilled, they will upgrade their gear a little bit so that it's not the limiting factor for them. So he has a pretty high level of gear here. He's running an optic. You don't have to run an optic. That's not a magic, pixie dust or whatever. But I think that good shooters recognize the benefit of it and tend to use that, especially, because when you're doing competitive shooting, you recognize there's a carry optics division for a reason, open division for a reason. I will say one little thing here, and I'm not blaming him for this, is that he is ripping shots off at this guy and his backstop changed. So recognize when the bad guy moves or you move, you have to be cognizant of what's in your backstop. That doesn't mean that you can't continue to fire if you have to, but you gotta make sure you don't miss, because downrange now is innocent people. And thankfully, big world, small bullets, nobody's harmed, no harm, no foul here. But you want to be cautious of that.
Yeah, and John and I will always call out an officer or deputy when they're endangering people unnecessarily with their gunfire. We've done it before numerous times. We're not afraid to do it. My first watch through, I was like, oh, that's a little fast. It made me a little uncomfortable. Maybe a little bit of pucker was involved. Watching it back on the replay, I'm like, actually, those are pretty controlled shots. He did shoot quickly. They were very short splits. However, if you watch his muzzle, there's very little muzzle rise. His recoil control is exceptional. Maybe that gun's ported. I don't know. But as to what John said, yeah, you've got to keep track of your backstop. It changes, it evolves, especially when someone's in a car. But I think he did a fantastic job here, John.
I don't think it's a ported gun, Mike. I think he's got forearms that look like an anaconda swallowing a rabbit is what that is in reality. And so I think, he's just a stud and knows how to grip that pistol like it owes him money. So good for him on that. I also love what's coming up next because the guy gets out of range pretty quick. Not out of range, but, hey, I don't need to be shooting right now. So I am moving and I have a moment, a lull in the fight, and he goes to do what we call a proactive reload. This is not a tactical reload, okay? I mean, it accomplishes the same thing. He's still got some rounds in the gun. But instead of retaining that and sticking it in his vest or whatever, sticking it in his waistband, his duty belt, he just drops it. He's got at least 3 more on his vest. Should have 3 at least. And so he just drops that one, goes to get another one, and gets it in the gun. That's why we call it a proactive reload. Super smart move here when he has a second, just so he's got a full gun. And he's going to use the full gun and need some more too.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot to add to what John had to say. I think this is a demonstration of why we suspect strongly that he is a competitive shooter. This is competitive shooter behavior, or maybe some advanced level police officer, maybe SWAT or decentralized SWAT or something like that. It's funny, in the back of my head, it just occurred to me is if I were in one of these vehicles and this all were said and done, I'd be like, how can I get out of here before the yellow tape gets put up? Because this entire thing is going to be a crime scene at some point. And I'm just imagining these poor commuters sitting there for 12 hours or more while they sort everything out. I'm not saying that if you're in a situation like this, you should leave the scene. If you got witness information, please do stick around, but that is a whole thing to consider. John, this guy's an absolute stud. Do we ever get the actual Special Pants Brigade patches in? Can we send those out now?
They are on the way. We actually have them ordered. They just haven't been delivered yet. So as soon as we do, hey, again, if you can get a hold of this sergeant, we want to send him a patch. Also, I think it's valuable just, hey, if you are a police officer, doing some competitive shooting can only help you. Also, just want to point out this one little bit of marksmanship and handling here. He slammed that magazine home like it owed him money, and that is very smart. You notice his slide is forward. These proactive reloads, slide forward reload when you put a full magazine in there, and Glocks will do this every bit as much as any other pistol, is that they tend to have a hard time latching at the magazine latch. So you got to slam that magazine home, and if you're not 100% positive that it's all the way home, just back off and whack it on the base plate again. Again, slap that thing like it owes you money. We have seen so many times in class that people do one of these, slide forward reloads, and then the next shot that they fire, the magazine drops out because they didn't beat that magazine home. It wasn't a problem here for this sergeant because he did beat it home, and he did so on the first try. Just a little thing, and you get practice at that. The 4th or 5th or 12th time that you do that in a competition shoot, you start to learn how much force you need to set that home, especially if you're shooting with your carry gun. So I really think it's valuable for officers. Competition shooting doesn't build training scars. It builds marksmanship and gun handling and moving and shooting skills that really are hard to get anywhere else. So make sure that you get after those. An interesting thing here, and Mike, you're the one who started on this one. You're the first one that saw that, is that this right here, when I zoom in and we look at what we see here, I'll be darned if that doesn't look to me like the back glass on that Mercedes is bulletproof or is armored in some significant way. I've seen plenty of glass get shot, and it sure don't look like that when the bullets go through it.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I've seen more than one. So I worked border crimes for a long time, cartels, international narcotics, that sort of thing. This is indicative of possibly a cartel member. I can't say for sure. I've run this by a couple of my current active duty law enforcement friends. Neither John nor I is certain that's bulletproof glass. It could be really, really super chingon, rear laminated Mercedes-Benz glass. That's possible. It looks to me like it's armored glass. So what that means is this is a very bad guy. He looked the part once he got out of the car. Hey, maybe I'm wrong. I could be completely wrong. But that cartel mentality means a couple of things. It means I can do whatever I want with impunity because that's what they're used to include shooting at my wife and this small girl in the car. And I can just continue to run away from the police and do whatever I want. I got bulletproof glass. I got this, I got that. I was very, very pleased this came to end the way that it did. This guy was in custody. I got to say, this guy, as I said at the beginning, unrepentant scumbag number one meets absolute badass cop who's prepared for this. He's trained for this his whole life. When you said he beat that magazine, he beat it like a rented mule. And I can almost promise you, he has done this so many times. That gun is so worn in that he was 100% sure that magazine was seated. But solid advice by John. If that is you, hey man, giving that an extra tap or even a tug, don't make comments. Even give it a quick tug is absolutely a critical thing to do to make sure that magazine doesn't fall out after you fire your next round.
Just for the record, I would love to have some super chingon glass in my pickup truck. That would be pretty cool too. That's a first. Also notice here, I think his shots and where he placed them were absolutely perfect, and none of them hit this guy. So that's also leading me to an understanding that this is probably armored glass. And the only reason nothing happened is because the guy gave up. Now I want to notice here, our officer's about to run out. He's going to completely unload a magazine. And he gets a new magazine in that gun from the time that the last round fired till his gun is back out and ready to fight is 2.5 seconds. Now, 2.5 seconds when you are staged, when you're running from competition gear, all those things. I mean, that's still reasonably good time. I've seen it under 1 second. You watch Tim Herron shoot or something like that, and he run a reload like so fast it's ridiculous. Max Michel, those guys in that league. But to do it from duty gear while moving under stress in 2.5 seconds, whoo, Mike, that's some skills, boy.
Yeah, and again, something that doesn't come naturally. A quick reload is critical for law enforcement. As John will say, I think it's still never seen a second magazine actually used in a private citizen gunfight, unless that's changed. However, with police officers, you have a different mission. You chase goblins down holes, as John likes to say. So yeah, your reload skills should be above average, right? I want your marksmanship skills well above average, but stuff like holstering and unholstering, like reloading, like the tactical top off that he did without retention of the spent magazine. All this stuff is critical to practice over and over again until you can't get it wrong in the real world. And I can just tell this guy's absolutely practiced this till he cannot get it wrong.
He really has. And I love as well that he reassessed. You notice here, you can just see that guy's got his hand out the window now. He's like, okay, I'm done fighting. All right, I'm done. And our officer didn't just reload and go back to shooting. He reassessed when his gun came back out. And that is, again, really high level stuff. Last thing I really want to talk about here is once the shooting stops, you saw the detective come up over on the left-hand side. We're going to see that here in just a second. And when he does, I like that, he puts his hand on the sergeant and says, hey, Sarge, I'm going to handle communications from here. I got it from here. The sergeant just lets him do that, even though he's used to being in charge. Nope, I've been in a shooting. The other guy's going to do that. And that level of communication, calm-headedness, a willingness to get the guy into custody rather than beat him like a rented mule, like he probably deserves, I think is indicative of very highly professional, competent policing. These guys really did it right, Mike.
Yeah, I'm going to say one more thing. So you may have noticed this detective, the guy here in the polo with the beard who we're watching here. You may have noticed he got on his radio. I'm going to give him an absolute pass, and here's why. There's already somebody with two hands on their gun, trained on that, who everyone in the department knows can shoot, right? So he's covered. He was giving directions, and again, calm, succinct directions. Hey, here's where our line of fire is going to be. So don't be here, block the street off, do that sort of thing. I'm fine with it. I got in a lot of trouble once for saying that I wasn't going to lose any sleep over the injuries of a bad guy who got hurt by a police officer. Had this guy not made it through this, I know every life is of inestimable value, and the best outcome is that no one gets killed at the end of the day. This guy is like number 1 or 2 of the people that I wouldn't not have minded seeing getting hurt. Fortunately for him, he came across the most professional police officers in all of Southern California who took him into custody without incident after he gave up, and that's admirable on them. These guys did a fantastic job. Again, get a hold of us if you know these officers, especially the sergeant, and let us know so we can get them a patch. At the end of the day, they covered everyone's asp.